All right, everybody, here we go. It's 7 o'clock. Sorry, I was like 30 seconds late. Hope you guys are doing great tonight. We are going to wait for everybody to start jumping on. Just make sure everything's good. There I am. All right. So as you join, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section if you can hear me okay. Please. There's Glenn. Great talk this morning, Glenn. I hope things are going well. There's Miss Katie. All right, here we go. Hey, Garrett, Jake, Brad, Philip. There's Sam. Love your videos, Sam. Keep them coming. Hey, Steve. There's Randy. Been meaning to reach out, Rand. Make sure and keep me updated on what's going on. There's Hagan, Jeff, Joe. Let's go. Everybody's getting on. I'm excited about tonight. Really spent well, not like I don't every time, but I spent a lot of time with this because in my own practice, I really think about, gosh, all the things we navigate, and we're going to get in the middle of that. And maybe some of the things we talked about tonight can help you kind of overcome some of those roadblocks that's kind of holding us back. And a lot of times, growth is just held back by needless conversations and words and actions. So we're going to address all that. There's Miss Heather. Hey, David. There's Miss Carmel. I'm glad you're on here. Christine, great to see you. Zach, Regina, good to see you. Darren, there's Miss Nike. Joe, Jeff. All right, here we go. Hey, Charles. Charles, memory cameras on the deer cameras. Of course you are. Hey, Geneva. Richard Snow, we ain't talked in a while. It's about time for us to get a call. Hey, Paul. All right, everybody's jumping on. We're going to give everybody just about one more minute, and then we're going to get in the middle of this. I want to make sure. Hey, Nate. Glad you're on here, buddy. Good, good, good. Here we go. There's Miss Patty. Oh, speaking of which, so I don't forget, Miss Patty. All right, we're giving everybody about 30 more seconds, okay? So, perfect. Everybody, are you guys about ready? So, in the comments, I just posted a website. Look, you guys, just so I don't forget, because I've been meaning to do this every morning, and I'll do it again too, and you're going to see a lot of this. I just posted the tour store. So Patty, so I've been pushing. I tell you guys to get every book Dr. Barge ever wrote. Are You the Doctor? Doctor, Life Without Fear. There's so many, and Patty is gracious enough to give us a direct link. This is where you get all these books. So all of you that are watching this tomorrow from the UK and all over the world, go on this, and everything that Fred Barge ever said, wrote, anything that should be a part of your library. So thank you, Patty, for making that so easy. Hey, Miss Denise, Jonathan, Malachi, here we go. All right, it's time to get in the middle of it. Let's do this. All right, gang. So here's the topic of conversation: navigating patient personalities and conditions. And this has been quite an interesting week for me, but it's almost every week is interesting for just like the rest of you. And something that really occurred to me, and for those of us that were at down in Whitefish, I said this then, and the more I think about it, the more I look back on my 30 years of practice, and the more coaching calls I do with you guys, and really get in the middle of what it is we do. I'm going to say it again. You're going to hear me say this a lot. And I tell you what, being a chiropractor is tough. It's not an easy job. And when I really put it in perspective, there's not another job on the planet that physically, mentally, emotionally takes something from you every day. You know, James and I were talking here recently about, some of the greatest chiropractors, why do chiropractors, you would think they get adjusted, they live a chiropractic lifestyle, especially the high volume guys, why do they die so early? It's because it pulls from you. And, you got to think about all the things that we go through physically. Just physically making the adjustment. When you are a physical adjuster, when you use your hands, we got babies and we got 90-year-olds. We got, 6'6", 380 pounders, and then we got little gymnasts and everybody in between. And physically, in a day's time, there is a lot that goes on. And then mentally, running a business and all the things that come with your staff and staff training and overhead and collections and ups and downs and, the building breaks down, the toilet stool floods, or the computers go down, or the power goes out. There's always something. Man, I'm going to tell you what, you guys, emotionally is probably where it takes its greatest toll. And even, here's the thing, not even negative emotions. We have those patients come in and, I've had it happen so much here recently. My little ones that grow up in the office and now they're getting married, or they're going off to college, or they're pregnant, getting ready to have a baby, or they're bringing their babies in. Those are positive, great things. It's still stuff you're taking in, but then they turn right around, and then you lose a patient. You have a child pass, or a family in a car accident that you lose, or gosh, there's just so much. You guys get what I'm talking about. There's, and everything in between. Doc, I'm going on a trip, to I lost my job, to I've never felt better in my life. I've lost 40 pounds. I mean, I'm working out. Look, I'm doing great. To I've got cancer. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, as chiropractors, there's really no one else that takes on this this role that we take on, and it does take its toll. So, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate the personalities and the conditions and the stresses? And a lot of the personalities are this. That you have a patient come in and they say, well, doc, I'm not getting better. We've all got those. Every time they come in, they have a complaint. Or, I hurt worse than I did before. Or I had a patient come in a couple weeks ago, Jackie. She's been coming in forever. And she walked in, and as she's walking in my office, I called her name. She walks in, and she's talking, and she's rambling on about going to some friend of hers church function that it was serving chili. It made absolutely no sense. It was 100% irrelevant to why she was there. I didn't know what she was talking about. She walked through the door talking about that, and I was so confused. and then I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? I walk in. I was doing a consultation, and I come in, and my patient is sitting in the floor with his back up against the door like that you walk in. I've never had that one happen. And everything in between, it's like you start thinking, what kind of circus am I running here? And really what it boils down to, if you're running a high volume practice like we all do, and you've got lots of different personalities, and you have some patients that are really, really quiet, man, they're in and out. And you have some patients that never quit talking. And we all know who those are. You have patients that ask questions every time they come in. And you have patients that never say a word. And then what happens, we get caught up in all this, right? We get caught up in the conversations, and we get caught up in they're not feeling better. We get caught up in the patients that didn't adjust easy. We get caught up in everything other than what we are supposed to be focused in on. Think about all I just said. Every one of us. Malachi to Carmita, I know you just got started. Jonathan, Denise, Nike, we all know those personalities walk through the door. And I'm going to tell you something. After 30 years of doing this, and I'm sure there's going to be some of you on here that's been in practice as long as I have or close, you all are going to know this. It will take its toll. And what I've learned is here's the thing, gang, listen to me. How many times do we grow and we start getting to a certain point, and then all of a sudden our growth just stops, and then we kind of fall back? It happens to all of us. And I get that's the number one question is like, well, we work, we grow, and then I always get to this level, and then my practice stops, and then I kind of fall back. Well, this is one of the biggest reasons, other than your own self-limiting belief, and we'll talk about that on another time. But this one, what we're going to talk about tonight is one of the biggest ones, is that what happens when all these things happen, you start to doubt chiropractic, you start to doubt yourself, and then you start to add to what it is you do. And that's where we screw up. When you start to doubt chiropractic, because here's the thing. They come in, you do a consultation exam, and you do the report. You take the x-rays, you do the report. You look at the x-rays and you see C5, T4, L5, or whatever those listings may be. You see those, and you know that's where they need to be adjusted. And you start to adjust them. But you forget your chiropractic principles, and you forget that we do not treat pain, and you forget that we do not treat symptoms. And then about 5 visits in, Dr. Snow, I feel worse now than I did before I started coming in. Dr. Snow, I still hurt. Dr. Acano, Dr. Geneva, last time I come in, I think you hurt me. Or, the patient comes in and you go to, did that move? I don't think it moved. I think you need to try it again. All those crazy ass things that we all hear on a repetitive basis. And then the first thing we do is retreat. We retreat. We give in to those personalities and those conditions. And then we start adding. And here's what we add. We add more adjustments. We add more conversation. We add some therapies. Maybe we stretch it. Maybe we ice it. Maybe we go get a bottle of BioFreeze and rub on them. I don't know what. Maybe a genie rub. You're doing that. I don't know. Whatever it is you're doing, you start adding to the adjustment. And I'm going to tell you guys something. What happens is you do it once, you do it twice, you do it 5 times. Next thing you know, 30, 40% of your practice turns into unnecessary, absolutely unnecessary thoughts, words, and actions. And then we wonder why our progress stops and we're exhausted and basically, our soul is squeezed out of us by the end of the month, and we wonder why we're so tired. I mean, I've talked to some of you, and I remember, listen, I'm not pointing fingers because I was you. I remember that 150, 200 a week and feeling like you've been run over by a truck. And many of you will call me and been in practice for 3 years and you tell me you're burnt out. And the only reason you're burnt out is because of what I'm talking about here. You're allowing the patients to take over. You're allowing conditions. You're allowing personalities to take over. So here's what we're going to do. Many of you that have been in the group in Foundations since the beginning or for a long period of time, this is nothing that you haven't heard before, but man, I'm going to say I do approximately 30 plus coaching calls a week, sometimes more, and week after week after week. And when I start seeing the same thing come up over and over and over again, then I have a feeling if there's 30, 60, 90, 120 of you, then it's probably a lot more of you. So just because you've heard it before doesn't mean you need to hear it again. And this time, let's take it to heart and apply it. The number one thing we've got to start learning to do is you run the pace of your office, not the pace of your day. All right? Not the pace of the day, not who's coming in, not the conditions, not how hard they are to adjust, how easy they are to adjust, what kind of mood you're in, what kind of energy you have. You run the pace of your office. And so many of you have heard me say this here recently. I do not want you to run your practice, and all of you tomorrow, do not run the practice the way it is. Run it the way you want it to be. That's probably the best piece of advice I could ever give you. But how do you do that? Well, yeah. So I'll tell you this. I'll use this example. A few weeks ago, I don't remember how. It's been a few weeks ago. It was I think it was a Monday or Wednesday morning. It doesn't matter. I looked at the clock and it was 10:20, and I opened the door. I opened my door, and when I opened the door and I turned the door handle, that's kind of a sound. That's a signal for the girls to start moving patients. So at 10:20, I did that, and then I stepped back so they can't see me, and they start putting them on therapy and running. Well, the first patient walked in my office. By the time they heard that, 10:20, 10:21, 22, it was right at 10:23. We had their first little rush of patients. And then the last patient walked out. I swiped the card, and as they walked out, I glanced over, and 10 minutes had went by. 10 minutes from the time that first patient walked in out, and I counted the cards, and there was 12 patients. So I saw 12 in 10 minutes. Okay. Now, that's not the lesson. In that, well, it kind of is. In that lesson, those first 10 people, they come in, they got their adjustment, they wanted it. That's all they wanted, and it just happened to be those 10 that come in all at the same time. Those were those people. Then number 11 comes in, and that's not what she wanted. She wanted, Dr. Young, I need a minute of your time. She had questions. Her questions were, do I need to be doing more back exercises? Do I need to do this? Am I restricted from anything? You know, what causes inflammation? I mean, all these things, and you're just like, well, there goes my there goes my pace. But they were legitimate questions. I'm not saying they weren't. And then I listened, and then I answered, and then I opened the door, and then I had like 4 or 5 more waiting. But immediately, you got to get back on the same pace as your of the office, the first 10, not the pace of that patient. Because what happens is when you fall back into that trap of every patient wants to ask a question, every patient needs 3 minutes, well, then the next thing you know, the next 10 patients takes you 30 minutes, you know, and that's when you get caught up in that trap. So you have to immediately have the discipline to go back to, get them in, answer the questions they've got them, and get them back out. That's the hard part. And what you got to understand is that when she asked the question, I didn't participate in the conversation. I answered the question. And a lot of times, gang, and I'm just transparent. I'm honest with you all, always. I still do it. I will get caught up sometimes, and I hate it. But I do it because I feel like a hypocrite because I'm lecturing to you all not to do it. But I guess I'll say it to you this way. When I was seeing 250, 260 a day, it never happened. I didn't have time. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying. Do not get caught up. Doc, you want OU Texas this weekend? All you have to do is say, no, I don't think I'll make it this year. Let's check and see how you are. But we don't do that. Oh, I'd love to go to the game. We used to go to the game, but they're too hot, or blah, 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 blah. I tell you one, that doesn't get me. The only one that gets me anymore is, Doc, you got grandchildren? Oh, open up that box. Oh, I want, that's nothing more I'd rather talk about than my grandkids. And again, listen, it's human nature. My point that I'm trying to get through to you is if you want your practice to grow, you have to stay disciplined. You have to stay in the zone. You have to stay in there. Remember what I tell you guys. It's your dance floor. It is your dance floor. And patients walk in. They walk through the door, and listen, you don't have to convince them that you're smart or you're educated. You're a damn doctor. They see it. They see your name, on the door. They see it on the sign. They didn't listen. I want you to think about something. So many chiropractors spend so much time talking and trying to educate and convince their patients how much they know and why they should come see them. It's bizarre. Neurosurgeons don't do it. Orthopedic surgeons don't do it. Dentists don't do it. Pediatricians don't do it. Health vets don't do it. Chiropractors do, because for some reason we think that we've created this image in our brain that we are less than, and we have to convince everybody that we know what we're talking about. Listen, they got in their car and they drove to your office. They walked in on your dance floor. You are the lead dancer. It is your dance, your song, your music. You lead. You don't let them lead. And if they want to walk, if they drove all the way to your office to lead you in a dance, well, then you need to pay them. They don't need to pay you, right? And I want you to think about that. I want you to spend a little bit of time with that. You have got to be 100% consistent with your message. And make your message simple. You guys, make it freaking simple. What is your message? There's so much going on right now in chiropractic, and I'm not going to open up that can and go down the rabbit hole with you all. You hear some of my videos, my rants, and I can't help it. And the only reason I do that is because, damn it, I care. I really genuinely care. And And I get a lot of hate messages and stuff because, I posted something that, somebody said about one of their schools and we shouldn't do that. And I can't believe you're doing it. Well, then tell them to stop. I mean, more than anything, what I'm doing is I'm bringing awareness and open up a conversation. At least people are thinking and are aware. But the problem is there's so many different messages in chiropractic now. Messages in chiropractic now. Are we supposed to be educators? Are we supposed to be nutritionists? Are we supposed to do functional medicine or physical therapy? Or, good Lord, there's so many different things. What are we supposed to be? And you all need to make a decision for yourself. What is your message? What is your crystal clear, specific message about who you are, what it is you do, and absolutely why you do it? And if you're clear on that, and a patient comes in, as long as you articulate that message, then there is no confusion. And you're going to remove 99% of the things we just talked about. But if your message is open-ended and it's confusing, you are going to get a bucket full of questions and and pushback and all these crazy things. Look, just know what you do. Look, make it simple. Listen to me. My family, my Focus Foundation family that I love so dearly. Listen, we are chiropractors. Is what we are. And as chiropractors, we are interested in and address the joints of the body. We look for and remove, introducing, maintaining motion in the joints of the spine long enough to allow what we know as innate intelligence, to allow that innate intelligence to then take over and heal the tissue. That's what we do. Simple. It is a simple message. It is crystal clear, and it is not confusing. It is not confusing. Here's what's crazy. All my patients get it. Hell, I had one of my patients come in tonight. She's a sophomore in high school. She's a daughter of one of my old CAs, and the family still comes in. We're still very close, and she's just adorable. And she brought her friend with her, and her friend's been watching. She said, "Oh, my friend is scared to go to a chiropractor because she watches all those TikTok videos." And I'm like, "Oh, crying out loud!" And so I got done adjusting her, and she stood up, and she said she looked up and saw my wall chart. She said, "Oh, we're studying anatomy. I know what a lot of those are." And so I gave them a little bit of a chiropractic. It took about a minute, but her friend is scared, and I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "Open your hand, close your hand, open your hand, close your hand." I said, "How did that work?" I said, "Your brain sent a signal down the nerve to the hand to close and open." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Does that make sense?" She goes, "Well, yeah." And I said, "Well, what if you're in an accident and your head gets snapped back and a bone in your neck presses on the nerve that your brain is sending that signal to, and now there's only about 50% of that signal? Do you think your grip would be weak and your hand would be weak?" She goes, "Well, absolutely. It's called a pinched nerve." Okay, so you've heard of pinched nerves. I didn't go into that's not really what happens, but she said, "Yeah." I said, "So you understand that if that hand is weak, there's because there's nerve pressure?" "Yes." I said, I think she said my dad had it or something. I said, "Okay." And I pointed to the chart and I said, "Let me ask you a question. You guys are in anatomy. What if instead of the bone Uh-oh. Is that better? I guess I lost. Oh, no. I guess I pushed the mute button. Okay, I'm back on. All right, well, I apologize. I don't know where I was at with it. Long story short, I educated my patient, my little patient, and chiropractic wasn't so scary. Um, Sorry about that, gang. I got this thing and my arm hit it. Apologize. Um, sh- Thank Shannon. She saved me. She can run in here and save me. All right. So, um, I see it now up here. I wasn't reading. I wasn't reading the thing. Are we all back on? Okay. All right. Apologize. Now, your message. Keep your message crystal clear. That was the whole point. Keep your message crystal clear. Make sure that everybody understands what you do, why you do it, all that. All right. Now, here's something that we're going to talk about in Dallas really, really hard. Your patients, when they come in, like they're going to have all these questions and they're going to have all these personalities, they're going to have all these conditions and all these things we just been talking about. That's just part of life. They're going to have it. But they're looking to you for an answer. You've got to believe you. And they will only believe you to the extent you believe. Your practice will only grow to the extent and the amount of belief that you have in yourself and what it is you do. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a scenario. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a scenario. I want you to think about something. And I thought about this in the past, but it really hit me here recently. So I grew up in a little bitty small country town, and my grandparents went to one church. It was a Church of Christ. My other grandparents went to a Baptist church. And to this day, a little Baptist church, it's maybe on a busy, when this is when family shows up and it's Mother's Day, maybe 110 people in one service, okay? And there's congregations of churches like that all over the country, or all over the world. But then the church we go to is one of the largest churches in the world. It's called Life Church, and Dr. Craig, he is one of my favorite. I've never got to actually personally meet him, but I just think the world of him. He is an amazing. I think there's like 34 churches now that they have worldwide, and he's not even there. It's a big screen. They have a pastor for that campus that helps run that campus, and they have all just like a regular church, but then Pastor Craig he's the senior pastor, and that what he'll do is he where he's at, they live stream it, and then they have 3 different services, and all their churches are packed. They're all packed, and the biggest question is, what's the difference? Why can one pastor like have a mega church and another pastor can barely get 60, 80 people to come in? They're preaching from the same book, same message. They're both pastors. They both believe in God. Now you could say, well, there's personalities and there's these different things, but man, I'm going to tell you what I believe more than anything is that the passion comes from their truth, like from their soul. I remember Dr. Sigafus talking, and he used to talk about Reverend Billy Graham, and he said, how did Reverend Billy Graham go from a tiny little congregation walking into bars, getting thrown out, to filling stadiums throughout the world? And they asked him, they said, what happened? He said, well, when I decided to take the Bible, the faith and the Bible in full faith, then everything changed. Gang, you got to understand, when you take chiropractic and a specific chiropractic adjustment at full faith, and the philosophy and the principles in which we practice under, if you will take it in full faith and you will speak your truth with certainty and confidence and honesty and transparency, patients believe you. They want to believe you. They got in their car and drove to you. You have something they want. And this is the biggest message that I can try to get through to anybody, is that they come to see you for a reason. They walked in and they want what you have. They didn't go to their medical doctor. They didn't go to a physical therapist. They didn't go anywhere else. They come to see you. And so, full circle, what we've been talking about is running your practice and you want to see a lot of people and you don't want to be exhausted doing it and you don't want to get caught up in the conversations and the conditions and all the crazy stuff, just simplify your message and stick to it and be disciplined. You know, like I said, they know you're educated, they know you're a doctor. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to teach them. You don't have to try to sound smart. Just tell them very simply and very specifically what they need. Maintain the healing energy. I'm going to come back to that. I'm reading our messages. I'm going to come back to the healing energy, okay? Now, Heather, back to opening and closing the hand. Is that where we are? All right, I'm gonna go back there because I think everybody, from my messages, I think everybody wants to hear how I describe that. So I told the young lady, I said, open and close your hand. I said the brain communicates through the nerves to the muscles and tells it what to do. She said, yes, I get that. And I said, if a bone presses on a nerve and then that shuts off that nerve, so then the brain can't talk to the hand, and now it's not getting the whole message, so it's weak and it doesn't work correctly, right? She said, yeah, that my dad had that. He had a pinched nerve in his neck and he couldn't use his right hand for a while. And I said, okay. I said, so let me ask you a question. I said, look at, and I pointed to my chart on the wall. I said, if the brain is trying to talk to this organ is called the pancreas. What does the pancreas do? And the little girl that was scared of chiropractic, she said, I can't remember her name, she said, well, it produces insulin. I said, okay. Now, if the brain can't talk to the pancreas cannot produce the right amount of insulin, then what happens? She goes, well, then you become a diabetic. I said, exactly. I said, so just like the hand, what if we take the pressure off the nerve, remove that interference, and now the brain can talk to the pancreas starts producing insulin. I mean, you could see it on her face. It was just like a light bulb. And I said, that's what we do as chiropractors. We remove the interference in the spine so the brain can talk to the organs, the muscles, the tissue cells. That's where health comes from. And she did, and you could see the look on her face. And I said, chiropractic's not so scary now, is it? And she looked at my little patient. She said, I need to talk to my parents. I need to come here. And I said, girls, have a great afternoon. And so it's very simple. And the reason I brought that up, a 16-year-old can get it. A 16-year-old can get that message and go, boom. But yet chiropractors are confused by it. They're like, well, yeah, that's okay and all, but there's got to be more. I have to talk to them. I've got to rub their shoulders. I got to do a genie rub. I got to give them vitamin B12 shots. All the stupidity that's going on in our beautiful profession, and it's just not necessary. Back to the healing energy. Your practice comes from you, gang. It just does. And listen, if you're not saving your energy, if you're not paying attention to it, you're losing it. And then at the end of the day, you're exhausted. I know some of you that are listening to this, we've just had this conversation. We just did a coaching call about this, that, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, there's just not much left. Don't adjust more than 3 segments. 4 at the most, 10% of the time. I got several patients that C5 on the left. C5 left. That is it. I got 3. It just happens to be C5 left. They walk in, they lay on their back, I adjust them, I help them up, and they walk in. Can't be more than 15 or 20 seconds, right? What else needs to be done? Save your energy. If you've got downtime, do not get busy doing ridiculous things. You don't have to do things. Wait, rest, be patient. Let your brain be prepared for the next patient coming in. But do not get caught up in the ridiculous conversations. Do not participate. Do not over-adjust. If your system in your office is too many procedures, if your software is too many procedures, change it. I love Platinum. I just do. I don't have to do anything. Swipe, glance, done. New patient, put it in, takes me 45 seconds to a minute. I never have to touch it again. Gang, you got to start saving your energy. If you don't, you're going to lose it. And then once you lose it, once you get tired, you don't care who comes in. And that's another reason why your practice drops, because you don't really want to practice. You're too damn tired. You got to maintain that energy. You got to maintain when a patient comes in, you got to have that passion for chiropractic and what it is you're doing. But if you're tired, and because you've been, you know, having stupid conversations or adjusting 40 segments a patient or doing all these crazy things, by the time you get, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're done. You don't care who comes back in, right? And you got to maintain that. So it's discipline, right? Now, so Brad Schaefer, let's check it. It's real simple. Patient comes in, yak, 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 yak. Don't say a word. Listen. When they get done, let's check it. That's it. And they lay face down, you adjust them like you always had, you help them up, tell them when you see them again. Don't get caught up. Don't start asking them a bunch of ridiculous questions. My lower back on the right side has been hurting since I left last time. Okay, did you run, walk, did you stand? How many hours did you work? Did you guys bowl on the weekend? Let's check it. At the end of the day, here's what's crazy. You're going to adjust them anyway. So why don't you just go do that? You know what? I guess I should have started this whole class tonight with this. You're going to adjust them anyway, so hush and just adjust them and tell them when to come back. I get asked this more than anything. You don't do re-exams. You don't do education. You don't do classes. How do you get your patients to come back? Simple. Results. They feel it. The adjustment tells them everything that I wanted to say and that they need to know. All I have to do is tell, you know what, we need to do that again tomorrow. They come back because when they get up the next day, like, wow, that's different. That's all you're looking for is different, right? It is 7:38, so I forgot to say this in the beginning. If you guys have questions, start thinking about them now, because I'm going to allow about 10 minutes at the end to answer questions. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there to you now. All right, now listen. Downtime, rest. Don't get busy doing stupid things. I already talked about that. I'm going to address something. I put this is a kind of a side note within tonight's class. All right, this is a side note. Not showing up, just calling in, or showing up late, or leaving early. Your afternoon is not busy, so you tell your CAs to call them and reschedule them. That's telling the universe that you don't want to be there, that you're not really wanting to be a chiropractor. Listen, if you're 98% committed, you're not committed. You're not committed because you have 2% option to do something different. That's not commitment. If you are, I'm 99% committed to your marriage, that means there's 1% of you that, maybe. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And it's not, if you're 99% parent, that 1% will show up. If you're 99% committed to your practice, that 1% will supersede. It will creep into your brain, and you'll show up late. You'll leave early. You'll call in. You'll reschedule, and it's not appropriate. Either you are a chiropractor and you are committed to serve, or you are not. There is no gray area. I had to address that. I have reasons for that, but I wanted to say it to my family. Just hear me on that. Now, we're going to finish with this. It really has been on my heart. And everybody, commit. Be in Dallas. Be in Dallas. Bring your staff. Krisha's going to be there. Her and I are going to do a class together, but we're going to, just be in Dallas. Make a commitment. We only have a spring seminar, a fall seminar, focus in the middle, and a retreat. We're not like a lot of other groups that you got to go 5-6 meetings every year and spend time and money and energy because we do things like this. But it is important that you do show up when you can. I know sometimes you can't, but make a commitment, be in Dallas. And this is one of the things I'm going to go in-depth detail on. All right, in-depth detail. But I'm going to just hit it tonight because it's on my heart so strong. I have been studying our history a lot. And one of the things I've been studying the most lately is Dr. Ashworth. And some of the very first pioneers of chiropractic. And many of you, we had this conversation last week. And I'm going to give you the very general rundown of this. I just want you to think about something. And then I want to go in depth because there's some things I've learned in the last few days that blew my mind that I can't wait to share with you. But let's just talk about this. Let's talk about this. You got a mother. You got a woman that had 5 kids. She's married and 5 kids in the late 1800s. Her husband leaves her with 5 kids, moves to another state. This lady is left in Nebraska to farm and raise 5 kids on her own. Well, one of her 5 kids, her youngest, in the late 1800s, gets some sort of disease and passes. So she's grieving, lost a child, husband left her, she's raising 4 kids, she develops diabetes. She develops what they call, I forgot the name of it now. It's basically edema. They had a weird name for it back there. She had cystic tumors. She had sores on her legs that they remember, she remembers having to cover her legs up because they're open sores. There was so much, they stunk so bad. Her toes were turning purple. Today what they would do is if it was that bad, they would just amputate. But the doctors told her, we're not going to amputate because you're not going to live more than 3 or 4 months anyway. So just go get your affairs in order. So she started spreading her land that he left her with it to the family members. Well, then a sister said, hey, why don't you go see this guy has a new healing art, and he's got a chiropractor. What is a chiropractor, she said. All right, so I'm not going to go through the whole story because I want to save it for Dallas. We're going to go in depth about this person. But the point is, she went to this chiropractor and her diabetes was cured, and it was so overwhelming to her. And it cured everything was cured, and she never had diabetes again, could eat whatever she wanted, and went to chiropractic school because of this in 1905. Now, the reason I bring this up to all of you, what did that chiropractor do to her? All of you listening, everybody on the call tonight, and everybody that's going to be on the call, you all are thinking the same thing. Well, in 1905, one of the very first chiropractors ever, they only did one thing. They adjusted. They adjusted her spine. And they didn't have years of technique and years of science and years of philosophy. They didn't have any of any of those things. They didn't have research papers. They didn't have evidence-based. They didn't have any of that. But he said to her that in the mid-dorsal section, the nerves that go to the pancreas, we think the pancreas is responsible for diabetes. This is 1905, I believe. I'll get the dates right for Dallas. It's irrelevant. He adjusted her. What do you do? Every one of you, but Christine, Denise, Nike, Alan, Jonathan, every one of you, when a patient comes into your office, you adjust. What is the difference of what you did or what you do and what he did? He saved a woman's life with a chiropractic adjustment, and then she went on to save, and I'm just going to save it, she went on. Here's why our practices don't grow. Here's why it stops. Here's why we're not seeing so many we can't keep up with, because we take the chiropractic adjustment for granted. We take chiropractic for granted. We take our principles and our philosophy for granted. We do not give it enough weight. We do not give it enough respect. And it's baffling to me that we don't, when the entire profession was built on the chiropractic adjustment performing health miracles. There's story after story after story after freaking story. There's thousands of them that these pioneers, they have stories of miracles. And yet we don't have the confidence to adjust somebody and tell them to come back because it's what's best for them. We are beating ourselves up. Listen, being a chiropractor is tough. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. It is hard. It is a hard job. But I'm going to tell you what makes it 10 times harder is beating ourselves up. not having a certainty and confidence in who we are to walk into the office and say, this is what you need. And I don't care if they don't have a disease process. They don't have to have diabetes to come into your office. Like, they have to have a spine, right? Listen, do you want them to be dying of diabetes and then you adjust it and it goes away and so you can, like, pat yourself on the back or put yourself on Facebook? Or do you want to adjust the dorsals of the spine that go to the pancreas and see to it that patient never gets diabetes in the first place? It's called having respect. Respect for the patient. Respect. Have enough respect for your patients, for your practice, for your profession, for the history. Have enough respect to work every single day to become a better version of you. Do not allow another day to pass. We're going to talk. I've got a wake up call for you all in the morning. I'm saving. It's about respect, gang. It's about understanding what we do. And I'm going to tell you something. That's why I wanted to put Patty's website on there. You guys go get Fred Barges stuff, start reading. I'm rereading again the Chiropractic Story by Marcus Bach. If you can find it, get it. Herbert Ross Reaver, A Man Worth Knowing. If you can find it, get it. Do something. Take action in your life. Remember who you are. You're a chiropractor. You are not someone that went to chiropractic school and got a chiropractic degree. You are somebody that has the wisdom and the knowledge of the universe in your heart. And you know, if I remove interference from these people, which is what God called me to do, it doesn't matter what they have. It doesn't matter if they don't have it. I don't want them ever to get it. And when you get your message crystal clear, specific, own it. Do not get caught up in stupid conversations. Do not get caught up in over manipulating and adjusting and doing therapies and all the ridiculousness that we do. Take care of yourself. Rest. Eat right. Drink your water. Exercise. Be prepared. It's game day every day because you never know when that one person is going to walk in. You know, it's crazy. Today, I had a couple things happen to me today that were absolutely beautiful. I had a family. You all hear me talk about, one of my favorite stories, little Bryce, the 4-year-old that was dying of asthma. Okay, he came in today with his mother, his father, his wife, and their little baby boy that I got to adjust all of today. And it all started with a little 4-year-old dying of asthma 21 years ago. It was absolutely beautiful. I had another mom bring a little baby boy in, and that baby boy's daddy was on my son's little league football team. I was his coach in the first, second, and third grade, and his name's Dakota. And I'm looking at this baby, and I'm thinking, if somebody would have told me that one day I will be adjusting Dakota, this little crazy first grader's baby, I couldn't have wrapped my mind around it. What a man! And you gotta understand something, gang. I've been taking care of that family for over 20 years, right at 20 years, and all I did was adjust them. I said all. I didn't. I mean, what I mean by that is I didn't counsel them on nutrition and lifestyle changes. I'll tell you something else was pretty special today that I want to share with you. We're going to finish with this, and we'll answer some questions. So with all the things I said about don't get caught up in needless conversations and don't get, and I mean it. And I hope every one of you, I know you're all listening and watching. I want you to go back and watch this again when you get a chance and take notes about some of the things I talked about. Because I know I went a lot. I had a lot I wanted to talk about and went through a lot. But I want to close with this. We've got a patient. Her name's Karen. And Karen is 84 or 5 years old. And she is the absolute quirkiest little thing I've ever seen in my life. She walks with a cane. She has the worst scoliosis kyphosis that you've ever seen. I mean, she's bent way over, and she's just all over the place. she is something. And she comes in every 2 weeks, and she's just, I just can't explain her. I've never met anyone quite like her. She's the one some of you I've told about and I get her on the table, she jumps and all I do is barely touch her and she flails like I broke a rib. She said, "Don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me." She does it every time, and she's been doing it for 2 years. Anyway, well, today is her birthday, and she came in yesterday. And she started asking me if I knew what, and I thought what she was saying camel cane, but the girls say it's Campbell cane, like Campbell soup. Campbell cane. And something about it has a hump on it, and when you walk with it, it makes you stand up straight. And she asked me 3 times if I'd heard about it. Do you hear about it? Do you know anything about it? Do you know anything about it? Do you know anything about it? No, I don't know anything about Campbell cane. I don't walk with a cane. Well, she said it's Campbell cane. Campbell. She made me say it. She made me say it. And so I was like, okay. Well, she leaves. Well, the girls, and I gotta love my girls so much. Carissa said, okay, tomorrow's her birthday. You know what I want to do? I want to get on Amazon and we're just going to send her a Campbell cane. That'd be great. So, and I kind of had forgot about it. Well, I came into the office today after lunch before we got started, and they had her on the phone. And they said, come here. And she said, they go, oh, wait a minute, Karen. Dr. Young just walked in. We'll let you say thank you. And so, and you just have to know her. I love her, but wow. Talk about don't get caught up in conversations. And went into a tirade. I got this package in the mail, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to open it. I didn't order it. And if I had to send it back, or what if this, or what? And she went on and on and on. And I'm looking at the girls going, I'm going to kill you. And she said, then I finally looked at who sent it, and it was you, and I opened it, and it's a Campbell cane. How did you know? How did you know I wanted a Campbell cane? I was crying. I was laughing silently so hard. But she said, it's the best birthday I've ever had. Oh, you guys, we're chiropractors. Emotionally, we take a beating. And some days, it's a beating in a good way. My heart was full. Been a busy day. I got to see my babies come in. I got new babies coming in. I got my babies growing up, bringing their babies. I have that going on. I have so many of my patients that, one of my patients, Parathena, she just lost her husband. They've been patients for years. And she comes in, and when she comes in now, when she hugs me, she holds on. And she's 70-some years old, and she holds, and you would think it would be awkward that she held on that long, but it's not. I love her as a human being so much. Her and her husband Alfonso were so close, and she lost him, and she doesn't get any touch anymore. She doesn't get touch anymore, and she's a special soul, and she comes to see her chiropractor, and she's in and out just so fast. I probably spend more time hugging her than I do adjusting her. That family is what a chiropractor is. That is what's chiropractic being about. Have intentional, focused, loving adjustments. Let them know how much you love them. Don't tell them how much you care. Show them. All right? I hope tonight was helpful. I pour everything I have into these nights. We don't get to see each other that much, so that's why I want everybody in Dallas. Coaching calls, get on there. Send me messages and reach out. So I'm going to take the last couple minutes and answer some questions if you guys have them. All right? Oh, so get your questions together. Start asking them. I'm going to go over this. Okay. Saturday, November 2nd, Dallas Workshop. Be there. London, November 22nd is the adjusting class, and November 23rd is the workshop. Everybody's invited to that. It's London. It's a 5.5 hours, depending on where you fly from, 6-hour flight from New York. I do it all the time. Not a big deal. If you guys want to take a long weekend, go to London, come to the adjusting class. All right? And then we'll talk about next year later. All right? So, and there's not going to be an adjusting class for Dallas because I have to speak at Cleveland Friday morning, and then I'll get to the Dallas workshop. So, questions. All right. Alan, thanks for the call today. I gave up some of my enormity today during the hurricane prep. Oh, Alan, hang in there. Focus fam, send me some energy and prayers toward Tampa, our home and our office. Can't wait to serve. All right, everybody. And I'm not just saying this. I mean this with every ounce of love in my heart that I have. Just Alan, we're right now. Lord, protect Alan, protect his family, protect his practice. Um, please protect his community, protect Florida. Um, and all of us in our Focus Foundation family, we ask you to hear our prayers for all of our family and everyone in the Florida and anyone that's in the path of this hurricane. Please, please, please protect them. Alan, you got our prayers, you got our love. If you need us, we got you. Reach out, okay? Man, Alan, I apologize for forgetting that that's where you were. I forget where everybody is, but we got you. Reach out to us if you need anything, okay? And keep us in the family updated on what's going on. All right? Charles, recently I decided to quit looking at the numbers and do just review them at the end of the month. Is this a good idea to bring my focus back? Patient each visit, because I think I'm putting too much pressure on numbers instead of the visit. Okay, so great question, Charles. I look at the numbers at the end of the day. Don't look at it through the day. I don't look at how many new patients are scheduled. I don't look at how many patient visits are scheduled at the beginning of the day. I just prepare for everyone. I mean, listen, I want you all to prepare for 200 patient visits a day. Every day you walk in, you will see 200. I didn't say you're going to adjust 200. You're going to see 200. At the end of the day, though, Charles, I want laying on your desk, I want total patient visits, total collections, have it broken down. We have those sheets. They're on our website. If you need it, we'll get it to you. But I want you to see it at the end of the day, because when you walk out of that office, I want you to know what happened that day. I don't want you to wait till the end of the month. One number I do not want you to know, and I don't want anybody to know, is how many patients canceled or rescheduled. It's not your responsibility. You're only responsible for the ones that showed up. Your girls are responsible for them. So do not ask, well, we saw 50, but we would have saw 60 if 10 would have showed. That's negative. I don't want to see that. All right. So don't do that. All right. Charles, I hope that makes sense. Okay. Denise, Sam, I'm trying to balance owning my confidence and my adjustments and treatment plan while also making sure I know that I'm not perfect and always have room to improve. All right. Stop right there. Sam, stop it. It's not about you. It's not about you being perfect. It's not about you needing to improve. None of that. I want you to think about something. Dr. Samantha, how many years of chiropractic school did you go to, and how long you've been in practice, and how much about chiropractic you know and understand? Now, I'm going to go back to 1905, and the first 20 chiropractors ever was adjusting people and curing diabetes. Why is it that you think that they had more knowledge and better at chiropractic than you? They didn't. They didn't. What they had was this very strong belief and understanding of why they were adjusting. That's what you got to get, Sam. You're going to get better with time. But this thing that you just said, that I know I'm not perfect, stop that. Stop beating yourself up. Stop holding yourself back. Focus on the bone. Move it. Put energy in it. Just because it doesn't make a big loud noise or crunches or anything, that doesn't matter. If you put your intentional energy into the adjustment, they will get well. Own it, Sam. Don't hold yourself back. All right. I'm adjusting. How do I make sure I'm confident, but I'm still constructively critique myself? Look, if you made the adjustment, be confident. If a patient breaks an arm and you put a cast on it, be confident it will heal. Yes? Yes, Sam? Oh, you and I are going to get on a call. You're in so much trouble. Look, I think the world of you, and I know you. We've had many conversations, and I know you're just stepping out on your own. But sister, listen, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. You've got 125 plus years of hundreds of millions of chiropractic adjustments backing you. You stand on the shoulders of giants. You stand on the shoulder. I'm sending you something. As soon as I get off the phone, Sam, I'm going to send you something, and I want you to read it, and I want you to think about the person I send this to. I want you to put your name in place of her name, and I want you to go do that. Okay? I know I'm beating up on you a little bit, but stop. You are an amazing chiropractor. When you put hands on a patient, when you make that adjustment, know that that is exactly what they needed, and it was enough. Tell them when to come back. Okay? You and I are going to talk, young lady, just because I care about you. Okay? Blake, how do I take care of a day off without feeling I'm not worth 100 committed? I struggle with taking time away. All right, so if you have a scheduled patients, show up. But scheduled time off is different. What did I just say? Blake, you got to take care of yourself. Conserve your energy. Quit beating yourself and breaking yourself down. Look, my practice when when I was Monday through Friday, hell, when I was Monday through Saturday, I was 100 a week, and then I went Monday through Wednesday, and I was 650 a week. I had 4 days of rest to be able to go do that. So if you want to grow your practice, you got to invest in you, become a better version of you, and you take time off. It's just allowing you to recoup and prepare to be a better chiropractor. So quit. Don't feel like that. Taking. And listen. Here's why I know this. Ask my wife. I wouldn't take time off. It took me forever to take a week off. But then every time I did, my practice grew. So Blake, if you want your practice to grow, rest and allow yourself to grow. Okay. Quit beating yourself up over it. Dr. Rajini, what do you do when you have 30 minutes of no patients? Be silent. Be silent. Rajini, sister, just be quiet and be prepared and just be ready. And what's going to happen is the universe says, okay, the phone rings. Someone pulls in a parking lot. Just be ready. But if you get busy, if you get hurried busy, then the universe says, oh, though she's busy doing something else, she doesn't have time for this patient. Right? Rest. Conserve your energy. Conserve your energy during office hours. Just be prepared. Okay? It's the hardest thing, but I'm telling you, it's the best thing. Dr. Heather, what do? Office flow going well. The patient holds you up. Then you try to get back on pace with the following patient who now takes your time on a purpose because they waited for that patient before them and they want the same time. How do you recover from them? That, Heather, that's you. That's not them. You're creating that in your brain. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen occasionally. It might. But more than likely, what you're actually doing, Heather, is that you feel guilty for making them wait. So you think that they are upset. So you're going to give them extra time to compensate for their wait time. You've already made them wait. They've already spent time in your office. So then by you talking to them and giving them more time, you double the time they're in your office. So you did the exact opposite. Instead of, you know what, Heather, I apologize for making you wait so long. I know you're a busy lady. Face down. Let's get started. And you adjust them, helping up. I know you got things to do, and I'll do my very best to stay on track next time. And you open the door. Let them know that I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Focus on the adjustment. Don't get caught up on that. Because more than likely, sis, you know this. It's not them. It's you. You create that. And I know that happens because I did it. But that's not the case. More than likely, almost all those patients, they want to get in, they want to get out, and they've had to wait because you had that one patient, like a consultation, a report, or whatever. They've already had to wait extra time that they're not used to, so then they want to get in and out. So don't create that. Don't create that story in your head, Heather. Okay. All right, Christine. Okay, so you've got a doc that has been in practice for years and wasn't as brief verbally as you say to me. How do you transition that so it's not perceived by the patient? Okay, yeah, they had it one way. I ran into that. What you're saying is, you used to spend a lot of time with them, and then now you're starting to speed it up. I ran into that. I had a patient one time say, are you in a hurry? Because she was used to the way I was before when I was an associate, and I didn't see anybody, so I spent 30 minutes with them. And I said, no, Millie, I'm not in a hurry, but I figured that you had somewhere you wanted to be. Well, we do have to get to the store. Okay. I just put it back on them. So what you got to do, Christine, is it's increments. Move your hands slow, move your hands slower, talk slower, adjust less, but talk less. Your actions slow down. Just the amount of actions you have reduce, and it'll take care of that. I promise you. It'll seem like you're there forever if you're focusing on the adjustment and you reduce the amount of actions and words, but you just slow the ones that you do perform, the ones you do speak, slow them down, and then they will never know the difference. Okay, I need to really focus on that more. I'm going to remember that for the Dallas workshop. That's perfect. Okay, Brett Kessler. Hey, brother, love the love. I'm back. Brett, glad to have you back. Let's get in the middle of this. We've been in practice for a long time. You've been through a lot. It's time to kick this thing in. All right, Sam, I hope I wasn't too mean to you. Okay, Darren, you got it. Jorn, I've noticed it on days that I'm off mentally or exhausted when I've asked God why the numbers are low and slow because you can't handle it today. Just a reminder, we are only stewarding a business has placed us in. It's not ours, the patients that are sent for him. Jorn, you're spot on. If you are tired, they will not come because you can't handle them. If you've got downtime, stay prepared. They will come. And when they show up, do not waste their time with needless words and actions, Heather. Don't think that they need more of your time. They don't. They need an adjustment. Go back to the principles, gang. Go back to the principles. Go back to being a chiropractor. Be in Dallas. I'm going to break some things down to you. And if it's like, if I can articulate the message that I have in my brain and my heart, you will never be the same again as a chiropractor. That is my hope. All right? It is now 8:07. I'm 7 minutes over. You all go get some rest. I love you, and I'll see you in the wake-up call in the morning. Good night.